We are just letting everyone into the room and we'll get started in just a second. Here we go. All right. Well, hola, everyone. Welcome to Dimensions in Travel's virtual event series. This is a part of our Places You Can Go Now virtual events. Today, we are delighted you'll be joining us for our journey to Mexico with Classic Vacations. It is happy hour right now, so please enjoy yourself while you listen. And I will be having a frosty margarita as soon as we finish here. So cheers. My name is Diana St. James, and I'm one of the owners of Dimensions in Travel, along with Joe Romano. All of us at Dimensions in Travel miss traveling as much as you do, and we find these virtual events are a great way to keep the spirit of travel alive, and we hope it does the same for you too. Before we get started, a couple of reminders. We are recording this event. We'll send out the link afterwards and post it on our website. We always record them. So if you've missed anything in the past, check our website. It will be there. We've got everyone in listen only mode, which means your cameras and microphones are off. If you could keep them that way, it helps minimize distractions and minimize our use of bandwidth too. So everything goes just a little smoother. You can post questions in the chat box down below at the bottom of your screen, and we'll be doing a Q&A at the end, but you can post the questions at any time. During today's journey, we are traveling to sunny Mexico, very different than if you're in the Bay Area, what we have going on outside. We're going to be hearing some current travel stories from our guest at Classic Vacations, who has recently visited Puerto Vallarta and Cabo San Lucas. We'll be talking about the health protocols for visiting Mexico, getting ready to go, stopping off at 2 all-inclusive beach resorts, and we're going to be talking a bit about renting a villa as well. We'll hear some examples of the safety standards at the resorts. They are different at each one, but we'll give you an example of one of them. Testing options before coming back to the United States, and some new trip insurance options as well. We hope you will discover why Mexico could be your perfect escape right now. But before I take you to Mexico, I'd like to introduce my business partner and agency co-owner, Joe Romano. Hi, Joe.
Hi, Diana. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. It is my pleasure to introduce two of our great partners with Classic Vacations, Joseph Barney and Dave Ferran. Joseph is the strategic account manager for the greater Los Angeles, San Francisco area and Lucky Duck, Hawaii. He's lived in LA for over 17 years, but was born and raised in the Detroit area. His curiosity about the outside world led him into a position as an after-school intern at a local travel agency during high school, and he's been in the industry ever since. A little bit of background, he studied travel and tourism management at Johnson & Wales University in Providence, Rhode Island, where he spent 4 wonderful years and then headed straight for the California sunshine upon graduation. Since then, he's worked for Crystal Cruises, a cruise charter company, Atlantis Events, and before joining Classic Vacations, Uniworld Boutique River Cruise Collection. When he's not working, he enjoys exploring the globe or simply visiting his parents, sister, and nieces on the East Coast. Dave Ferran is the head of sales at Classic Vacations and a 20-plus year employee. Dave started in the call center before quickly entering sales as a business development manager in the Los Angeles area. From there, he moved into sales management, taking on the position of regional director, working with West Coast business development managers and top accounts like Dimensions in Travel. A graduate of UC Berkeley, he resides in San Francisco. That is when he's not traveling to his favorite places on earth, Hawaii and Mexico. I'd now like to turn over the presentation to Joseph and Dave. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Jill. Thank you, Diana. It's so nice to be here, and thank you everyone for joining us today. Diana, I'm a little bit disappointed that I didn't have the idea of making a frosty margarita beforehand. It didn't cross my mind until now, so I just have my water here. I'll have to make one as soon as I'm done. But again, thank you everyone for spending time with us today. I'm really excited to share some of my personal travel experiences that I've had in Mexico. I was lucky enough to visit twice in the past year, so I'll tell you guys all about what it's like to travel there right now in these kind of wacky times that we're in. But first, a little bit of history about Classic Vacations. You may not know too much about us because we are really a company that's designed around working with your travel advisors. So our whole mission is to make life a little bit simpler for them when they're putting together these incredible trips for you. We're behind the scenes and we just make everything work seamlessly for you. We've been around for over 42 years, starting with Hawaii as our first destination. Back in 1999, we added Mexico to our portfolio. So we've now been in Mexico for over 22 years. And it has really been, through this entire pandemic that we've been through, Mexico has been one of our only destinations that has been continuously open. So we have really been focusing a lot of our on Mexico for the past year. And it's been great because, as I said, I've gotten to spend a little bit of time there and they've done a wonderful job of keeping things very safe for the tourists who are visiting. We also, because there's so much for travel advisors to keep track of in these times with COVID, hotel restrictions, protocols around the different countries and entry and testing is always changing. So what we do is we bring this all together in one central place. So your travel advisor at Dimensions in Travel can always log in and see exactly what is happening at the moment so they can give you the best advice on where to go and how it will all work and make their lives a little bit easier for them, and that you will have the peace of mind of knowing that they have the most up-to-date information at their fingertips at all times. Right now in Mexico, they have been wonderful, as I mentioned, about protocols and everything else. When the CDC recently announced their new testing requirements for US citizens before they enter back into the US when visiting abroad, this is just a list of our hotel partners alone who are offering free on-site testing. And again, this is the information that your travel advisor can easily log in and find. So when you have questions later on and are hopefully thinking about booking your trip to Mexico, they will be able to provide you with this list of hotels and, based on what type of trip and experience you're looking for, be able to point you in the direction of the ones that have the really nice amenity of free on-site testing. So for those of you who are not aware, the CDC right now is requiring that US citizens, when they travel abroad, before they return home and get on their flight home, they need to have a negative test that shows that they are COVID negative before they get on their flight back to the US. So these resorts in Mexico are all offering that test free. So that's one less thing you have to worry about. You just do it right there on site at the resort and you can fly home if you're ready to go home. Most of us are not. And this is just an example of one of our hotel partners who's done a really phenomenal job of taking the necessary steps and then some, going above and beyond with their safety protocols. With our friends at AM Resorts, they have many properties that we work with throughout Mexico and the Caribbean. They have this 8-step quality, safety, and hygiene protocol. All of these are different touch points, and it was really fascinating for us in the travel industry for the past year, learning about how the industry has really adapted so quickly and done such a wonderful job of finding these new protocols and ways to make travel and everything that we still want to do as safe as possible. So this goes from every step of the process, whether it's your check-in, getting into your room and having that seal on the door so you know that no one else has been in there since it was sanitized, all of the different protocols that they have in the dining facilities, whether it be just the hand sanitation stations that they have everywhere, everyone having masks. I can tell you, throughout my 2 trips in Mexico, I always felt safe. There was never an instance where I came across anyone other than maybe the occasional American by the pool who didn't have their mask on. Everyone at these resorts, everyone in the transportation companies, the tour companies are doing a phenomenal job of keeping things safe for everyone. And another way that we offer peace of mind, aside from just making sure that your travel advisors have all the latest up-to-date information, is also having industry-leading insurance options. I want to have a fun presentation for you guys today, so I'm not going to bore you guys too much with insurance, but our 3 packages here, silver, gold, and platinum, are tailored to the type of trip that you're going to be planning. And your travel advisor will best be able to find the one that fits your needs. But it's the best in the business. And also when you're looking at our top of the line platinum, you have $50,000 in coverage for your land portion, cancel for any reason. So peace of mind is kind of an overused term with what we've all been through the past year, but it really is all about that. Knowing that you can book your trip, and if anything changes, knock on wood, hopefully we're kind of putting this all behind us right now. and seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, but you have that peace of mind to know that no matter what happens, you can cancel, you can reschedule and not have to worry about it. So I'm not going to make you guys go cross-eyed with this list here, but just let this serve as an example of the incredible breadth of properties and selection that we have in our portfolio. On one side here, you have a sampling of our adult-only all-inclusive properties in Mexico. On the right, family all-inclusive. And your travel advisors will have these lists, so they have this information at their fingertips. But I just like to show this so you get an idea of really the incredible selection that we have within our portfolio, no matter if you're looking for a family-friendly trip, a romantic trip, something very high-end luxury, something all-inclusive. No matter what you're looking for, no matter what your price point, we have properties that will fit what you're looking for. And then in addition to all these wonderful properties that we work with, we also have some incredible villa options. And as you can imagine, this was a really popular option for people traveling for the past year because people love that sense of privacy of having their own little bubble where they know they're just traveling with their family or their close friends that they've been quarantining with, and knowing that you're not really having to interact in public spaces that often. So these are really phenomenal options that we have. In this one here, Villa Cortez at One and Only Palmilla in Cabo is a really absolutely gorgeous example of that. This is like where I dream of having a birthday someday, or, you know, it's just a trip of a lifetime and an amazing, especially if you're looking for family travel, a great way to kind of isolate and have the whole place to yourself. We also have our wonderful partners at Myelin. This is our preferred tour company and transportation company for Mexico. So both of my trips that I took in the past year to Cabo and Puerto Vallarta, I use them for all my transfers. And I can tell you firsthand, they are doing an absolute phenomenal job of keeping safe and following every possible protocol, even ones that you may not have thought of. When I got picked up in Cabo a few months ago, I got picked up in a beautiful, nice suburban SUV, and the driver had a complete plexiglass shield between the front seat and the back seat. So incredibly safe. You know, of course, they're wearing masks and everything else. Everything has been sanitized, but you even have the extra layer of the plexiglass divider that they had in there. And they're just a phenomenal company to work with. You know, if you're doing their larger service, they have the nice big SUVs like the Suburbans or the Mercedes-Benz sedans, which I experienced when I was in Puerto Vallarta recently. Just very first class and incredible customer service, and most importantly, very safe. So now the fun part, I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about my two most recent trips, and maybe hopefully tell you guys a few things about these destinations that you may not have already known. Starting with Cabo, and of course we're focusing on this, you know, dimensions where I think probably most of us on this call right now are on the West Coast or somewhere in the Western US for the most part. So when we think of Mexico, we often think of Cabo and Puerto Vallarta in the West Coast Mexican Riviera. Cabo, you know, I think for a lot of us in California, almost seems just like a little bit past San Diego. You know, it's the absolute closest destination that we have, especially when we're thinking about international destinations. And, you know, coming from the Bay Area or Southern California, just an easy 2.5-hour flight approximately, depending on where in California you're coming from, nonstop, affordable, which I'll mention shortly. Some great airfares that we have right now. But Cabo, I think what a lot of people don't realize it is a pretty large destination. It's not just one place, you know, not just the hotel zone. And it really is growing as time goes on. And so you have a really nice selection of different experiences that you can have there. On one side of town, San Jose del Cabo, closer to the airport, but there are some great resorts out here like Secrets, the Zidune Ritz Reserve, where you are not in the hotel zone. You have a lot of space. It's a little bit quieter on this side of the resort. And these are really nice places to visit if you're looking for something where you have a little bit more elbow room, a little bit more space, especially if you're looking for a little bit of more social distancing. Hopefully lots of us will have our vaccines very soon, and this will become less and less of a thing that we're saying all the time, but at least for the present time in the near future, I know that this is something that's still in a lot of people's minds. When you get a little bit further to the west here, you have Cabo San Lucas. You probably know this. This is where the famous arch is that you have in the photo here on the left. Some really beautiful resorts there. Pedregal, Waldorf Astoria, A little bit further west from there, you have the new Nobu Resort, which I have a photo of because I was lucky enough to visit while I was there. And in between, you have the hotel zone. Some great all-inclusive properties, family-friendly properties. We have Grand Velas, which is a beautiful all-inclusive property that we book a lot of Californians at. So now look at some of my photos here. So as I mentioned, Grand Velas, this is the pool at Grand Velas on the right here. As you can see, very uncrowded. I got up a little bit early in the morning and snapped that photo, but there was always just so much space. In Cabo itself is just, when you go out to the beaches there, it's vast. It has, it's a desert landscape for those of you who haven't been there before. And just Cabo in general has a great feeling of space wherever you go. But the Grand Velas pool area is absolutely gorgeous, as you can see, and very, very easy to get some sun, enjoy the pool, and still have lots and lots of space around you. The pool on the left here is actually the Montage Resort. This is a really nice resort if you're looking for luxury, but also has a great swimmable beach for families. Not all the beaches in Cabo are swimmable, so this is definitely a nice feature if you're looking for a really kind of modern luxury experience, but also great for families too, because you do have a swimmable beach there. And then here's some of my Instagram photos, and I'm going to give you guys a little pro tip. If you want to take pool pictures, but you're like me and you haven't been to a gym in well over a year, just take pictures where you're completely covered in water all the time, and then no one knows that you haven't been working out. So I either just do it from the neck up or just show my toes, and then you have a pool picture and no one knows that you have been eating whatever you want for the past year like I have. So these two photos in the pool are at the Waldorf Astoria Pedregal, which is an absolutely beautiful resort. To me, this resort has the best of both worlds because you're right by the town of Cabo San Lucas, but you're separated by a mountain. You actually go through a tunnel to get to the resort. So you have this really private feeling beach area. All of the rooms there have plunge pools. So that's the picture with my toes sticking out. That was actually my private plunge pool. So again, a really easy way to social distance is just to have your own pool. You don't have to worry about having to share it with anyone. And it was really wonderful. That was actually, I think, the first room I've ever had in my life where I had a plunge pool and I didn't even want to get out of it. It was so nice to just have your own pool and have that space to yourself. The picture on the left here is Nobu. As I mentioned, Nobu is also a little bit further from the hustle and bustle of the two main towns. It's in this beautiful area on the far west side of Cabo that's just now being developed. And those of you who are probably familiar with Nobu as a world-class sushi restaurant, they do have a few beautiful boutique hotels now, and this is one of them in Cabo. And our Senior Director of Field Sales, Libby Thornton, recently visited Leblanc, which is a beautiful luxury all-inclusive resort. And here are some of her photos. Speaking of margaritas, that looks really, really good. And you can see the pool area there and a shot of one of their guest rooms. This is a really gorgeous property. And again, there's some really fantastic all-inclusive options in Cabo for you if you're not looking for the traditional non-all-inclusive luxury properties that I just showed you. Some really fantastic all-inclusive options as well. And if you are a little bit more adventurous and you want to venture outside your resort, I had the pleasure of going to a really cool farm-to-table restaurant experience there called Tamarindo Farms. I know Dave has been to another really famous restaurant in Cabo called, oh, now I'm drawing a blank. What is the name of it? Flora Farms. And yeah, thank you. And these are really cool farm to table resorts that are restaurants that are actually on farms. So talk about space. You have all of this acreage around you, and it's really kind of the cool feeling of having a family dinner at a farmhouse, and you get to see where all of the food is grown right there on site. And the chef is there mingling with the guests. There's tons of space. And you can literally now I'm thinking about margaritas again. I had the best margarita there and then just walked around, and when I was taking this photo, looking at all the farms and the gardens that they have there, and it was just so tranquil and beautiful. And I was just so excited because this was my first trip out of the country or even away from Los Angeles since COVID had begun. So I was just so incredibly happy and excited to be away and have a change of scenery. And I know that you are all looking forward to that as well. So now a look at Puerto Vallarta. So Puerto Vallarta also, the things I love about Cabo Puerto Vallarta also has a lot of this, and that is just kind of a breadth of experiences. And Puerto Vallarta is around Banderas Bay, as you can see on the map here, but there are so many different little niches and parts of the region that are completely different from one another. So you can have very different experiences just whether your hotel is 10 miles north or 10 miles south. And I'll tell you guys a little bit about that. But that is also another reason why you have a travel advisor that you work with at Dimensions, because they can, help you kind of navigate all the nuances of these different resort options that you have in the different neighborhoods and how they're also different and have different things to offer. So looking at the map here, to kind of give you your bearings and the layout of the land, you have the airport here. North of the airport, you have Nuevo Vallarta. This is where a lot of the larger all-inclusive resorts are, like the Hard Rock is there. Going a little bit further north from that, where it says North Coast, that's Punta Nita. And you have some really incredible luxury properties there. There's a brand new Conrad hotel that just opened. You have the Four Seasons up there, the St. Regis. And Nayarit, north of there, is where you have some very cool new properties, which one of them I'll be showing you some photos of in just a moment. The one and only Mandarina, very over-the-top luxury resort that feels more like you're in Costa Rica, because again, north of the bay here, you get into an area that's really lush and mountainous, and it feels like Costa Rica or Bali, just completely covered in jungle and really, really unique. Going south from the airport, you have the marina area, the hotel zone, kind of the more traditional Mexico beach resort areas that you think of, where you have, hotels that are next to each other in a developed area. Grand Velas and some beautiful all-inclusive resorts are in this part of town. Going a little bit further south, you have Old Vallarta. Old Vallarta is one of my favorite places in Mexico because it's just so charming. You have cobblestone streets, really incredible restaurants, great nightlife. I didn't partake in the nightlife last time I was there because we were social distancing and I didn't really want to go to a bar. But you have all of that there if you're looking for it. And then south of Vallarta, you have the South Zone, which is also really beautiful. Again, gets a little bit more lush and jungly and mountainous. The Hyatt Ziva in this part of the resort is a really beautiful option. And some other ones going further south as well. So a little bit of something for everybody in Vallarta, whether you're looking for very kind of quiet and more nature-focused experiences, or if you want to have a more urban experience in the city, you have great options for both. Just some of my photos from my last time I was there. This is the one on the right. This is a tree that we hiked to at the one and only Mandarina Resort. Again, it was just pristine jungle, absolutely beautiful. You felt like you're in Costa Rica or someplace really exotic, but only a few-hour flight from California. Really incredible, especially if you're a nature lover. I can't recommend enough Riviera Nayarit or the hotel, the area south of Vallarta for beautiful scenery and jungle and hiking and ziplining and all that good stuff. And then in the middle here, we have the cathedral in Vallarta in the Old Town, which is absolutely beautiful. This is such a charming area, cobblestone streets, really cool art galleries and restaurants and just beautiful architecture. And it has a little bit almost of a feeling of being in like an old European village. And I love it because again, you're only a few hours from home and it feels so different. And so here's some shots of the one and only Mandarina. And this is again in Riviera Nayarit, north of the city. Again, I just love these photos because you get an idea of the amount of personal space you have. So very, very easy to practice social distancing. You can see how much space is there on the beach and at the pool. I did not airbrush these. This is actually how much space there was when I was there a few months ago. And then in the bottom left, again, that was the view from my plunge pool. So private pools are a really nice way to go if you want to be in the water and looking out at the ocean, but don't want to necessarily be sharing that space with somebody else. Your travel advisors at Dimensions can give you lots of great options for Mexico where you will have your own private pool and not have to share it with anyone, which is always very fun. And before I kind of start to wrap things up here, I just wanted to remind you guys, since we are a lot of us in California, especially I think in the Bay Area, right now there are really incredible airfares to San Jose del Cabo specifically. So if you're looking at potentially going to Cabo, especially if you're looking to travel in the near future, there are really incredible deals. This is a fare that we pulled up just last night, $293 round trip from SFO to Cabo. and this is on United Airlines. Of course, your travel advisors can give you guys all the options for flights, but definitely, I think, if you're thinking about traveling to Mexico anytime soon, I think sooner is better than later as far as getting the best deals on airfare right now. Because as you can imagine, as time goes on, as more people are getting vaccinated and starting to feel a little bit safer for traveling, I think we are going to see a lot more people traveling, and subsequently the airfares are going to start going up. And we did actually see that. We were searching around for some airfares last night. When you get into May, when you get into June, it's already getting up a little bit higher. So for those of you who are looking to travel in the near future, which is so easy to do with Mexico being so close to us and close to home, there are some really great airfares right now. And reach out to your travel advisor at Dimensions, because we have some great deals. We have up to 60% off select all-inclusive resorts right now. As I mentioned, we have some really fantastic options in the all-inclusive sphere, whether you're looking for adults only, family friendly, anything in between. And I don't think Jill and Diana even know this, but Dave and I were talking beforehand, and we are going to be offering $100 off the first 5 bookings. So for any of you who are on the webinar with us today, on the Zoom with us today, the first 5 bookings that they get at Dimensions for booking Mexico, we will give you guys $100 off your booking. So hopefully that entices you guys, and I can't recommend enough to go sooner than later, because I think travel is already starting to come back in a big way. So I would try to get there soon and beat the crowds to get the best deals. But hopefully you'll be joining us soon in Mexico. So thank you so much for spending some time with us today. And I'm going to hand it back over to Diana and Jill.
Thank you, Joseph. I really appreciate your thoughts. I especially liked your Instagram tip. I think for anyone considering a tropical vacation, don't wait for that COVID body to get better. Just go, enjoy yourself, and take your photos from here up. That was brilliant.
Just submerge yourself.
Exactly. That was tons of great information about Mexico. We really appreciate it. We'd love to answer any questions. If you haven't posted a question in the chat box, please go ahead and do that now. Jill, are you seeing anything in the question box?
I don't have anything in the question box, but there were a couple of things that had come in earlier, and one had to do with all-inclusives. And I think, Joseph, you did a wonderful job of helping us to show our clients how the term all-inclusive doesn't necessarily mean it's, the least expensive sort of option when it comes to, being on a budget, that there are all inclusives that include, butlers in your rooms and fine dining and things like that. So, would you agree that for someone who might be a little tentative about, putting their toe in the water, so to speak, and going to Mexico, that, one of the ideas of the all-inclusives is you're sort of cocooned in this beautiful resort, and you've got all this fabulous food, and you have, I think, a greater sense of, your risk tolerance is pretty minimal there when you've got that kind of opportunity. It doesn't mean you can't go out and explore, but would you say that would be the best option for somebody who might be just looking at re-entering the travel sphere?
Absolutely, because just like you said, Jill, I think there's people enjoy that peace of mind of knowing that everything is kind of there, managed by one company that has the same safety protocols and standards across the board. So you don't have to worry about, oh, if I go there, is it going to be different? You're, staying at this all-inclusive resort for several days. You know the lay of the land. You know that they're doing an excellent job of keeping on top of all the protocols. So you don't have to worry. So it is nice to have that peace of mind, to not have to worry about any kind of variables entering into the equation. You also reminded me of something I meant to mention and forgot. For people who have questions about what it's like dining outside of the resort, as I mentioned, I went to Tamarindo Farms, and I know Dave went to Flora Farms. I've had a lot of my friends when I came back, everyone was, so excited, and they're like, oh, wow, I really want to go, but I've been nervous, so tell me about it. What was it like? And, being in Los Angeles, I was still doing a little bit of outdoor dining when, there was times where it was allowed and times where it wasn't allowed. Most of the time it was allowed. And I told my friends the dining experience in Mexico when I went to restaurants that were outside of the resorts I was staying in was very, very similar, pretty much identical to the experience of dining at a restaurant in Los Angeles, and I'm sure in San Francisco as well. The same exact safety protocols, social distancing, everyone has their masks on. Guests are allowed to take their masks off when they sit down at the table, when their food or drink arrives. It was pretty much an identical experience to dining at a restaurant in California during COVID. So, if people can get a little peace of mind out of that, it was not, any different than doing the same thing at home. So I always felt very comfortable, but, as you mentioned, it's really an individual thing. It's a very personal thing. It's your own health. So it's all what is in your comfort zone. And I think all inclusives for that reason is a really nice option for people who are still a little bit, trepidatious about venturing out.
And of course, I love it when there's a question about shopping. So when you were out and about, were most of the stores open? Were they good about, the number of people that were going in and wearing masks, things like that? Because I think people it's one thing to get your mind around, I'm going to get on a plane and transfers and a hotel, but when I'm there, I want to have fun and I want to do some of the things that I enjoy. So how was the shopping scene there?
That's a great question. I didn't do too much shopping when I was there because I was just so focused on getting out and being outdoors and being in the sun and enjoying the pool and everything. When I was in Puerto Vallarta, I spent one night in Old Town before I headed up north to Riviera Nayarit and one only. And it seems like definitely the restaurants were all open for the most part. And from what I saw, the shops were. I didn't spend too much time there during the day because we kind of made a beeline and headed up north right away. So I don't want to misinform anyone, but from what I could see in Puerto Vallarta, it seemed like almost every business and restaurant was open for the most part. And, there were a good number of tourists there, but what I actually really enjoyed when I was walking around Old Town the night I was in Puerto Vallarta is there was also a lot of locals out too, because there weren't as many Americans there as there normally are. So it was kind of cool because it felt a little bit more authentic and like you're hanging out with the locals a little bit more. Right. I was also kind of fascinated to see how they were, getting through the ordeal compared to how things were at home. And a lot of people were wearing masks there, even when they were outside. So not just when they were indoors. I walked along the Malecon at night, which is really nice to do in the Old Town of Puerto Vallarta. And a lot of people even had their masks on when they were walking around outside. So it did feel like people were taking it very seriously and in practicing, all the proper safety protocols. And from what I saw, most of the shops were open. I didn't go to the mall. There is a big mall in Puerto Vallarta. I didn't go there, so I can't say how things were at the indoor shopping center. But I think for most of us who go to Puerto Vallarta, it's more about going to the cool little art galleries and in the cool mom and pop stores that are in town. It seemed like most of those were open.
Great. Well, that's all that I have right now. And I think, bravo to you. I think you probably answered all the questions anybody had in their minds here, including there's some great airfares. So now's the time to go. If you're ready, just give us a call.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you so much, Joseph and Dave, for making all this information available to us in terms of this is something that's doable right now. And if this has caught your interest, we'd love to hear from you. And working with partners like Classic Vacations, we can set up a great Mexico escape for you. All right. Thank you, everyone, for attending. And we'll see you at our next event.
Time.
Yes, that's right. Next time is going to be Costa Rica. So bye-bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.